Hello, everyone. Welcome to the BS Radar, hashtag BS Radar. Today with me, I've got Bryan Whittington. G'day, Bryan. How are you today?
I'm awesome. Thanks so much for having me on board. I'd love to be down under with you. Much warmer where I am. My goodness.
Yeah, for sure. Bryan was just saying that they've got their first drops of snow. And I was just telling him I just got back from a run and it's beautiful, sunny. We've just hit summer. So it's certainly different ends of the earth.
Oh, I'll take yours any day.
Now, Bryan is the founder of EVS Growth. He's also the host of the Talent, Sales and Scale podcast. So if you're not following Bryan already, you should jump on, follow him on LinkedIn, have a look at that podcast. Great content there. But for those who have not tuned into the BS Radar, basically what we do is we tap founders and leaders on the shoulder and we want to find out what's their one hot tip to sniff out the BS from a job candidate. So you're sitting there, you're hiring, you're interviewing, and you're trying to figure out, okay, is this right? Is this off? What is it that makes me feel like it's a bit off? Bryan, what have you got for us today in terms of a tip to sniff out the BS? Go.
Yeah. All right. So here's your tip. Stop recruiting them. Stop recruiting them. In sales, we have this thing called, whether you call it negative reverse selling or challenger or, the takeaway. We want to really do that whenever we're doing recruiting. Yeah. So stop telling you all about, oh, our culture's great. Oh, we're so wonderful. We're perfect, right? Stop campaigning, because guess what? The way you get them to your organization is the way you have to behave. And if you're not behaving that way, which most of you aren't out there, then they're going to see the real you. They're going to be disappointed. And that's why you see engagement levels over the last, 3 decades being around 30%. So why not be uber transparent and try to push them away and say, hey, listen, we're screwed up here. We're still growing. We don't have systems and processes in place. We're figuring this thing out on the fly. We're working unbelievably hard, and you're never going to be good enough. So why in the world would you want to come work with us?
Yeah.
So it's really leveraging that idea. And so the way that you can do that is take this concept in selling. We call it, I want to be right or I want to win, right? I want to be right. Hey, you don't want to do this. You're right. Oh, crap. I really wanted them to do this. Or I win. No, actually, I would. Sweet. I win. So this concept, or I want to be right or I want to win, we want to bring this early and often into the process. So here's how we do it, if I can be really tactical here, if that's fine.
Go for it.
So we leverage a couple of different things. We use analytics, technology, and just our selling prowess. So analytics, we start them off from assessments, day one, second one. The first thing that we do is we push them away through using leveraging an assessment tool. And so many people, especially since we focus in on sales, Russ, so many people are going, well, that's not very relational. Well, it might not be, but guess what? That's going to prove that you really want this. Because if you're just hitting the easy apply button on LinkedIn or on Indeed, you're going to get all kinds of people, and sifting and sorting through that is ridiculous. So we make them push through a little bit on assessments. Then number 2, we leverage technology. So we are using this video on demand interviewing process where we have a couple of different questions. So no matter if I'm in a good mood that day, bad mood that day, it's going to be the same question asked the same way, no matter the person in front of me. Because you know how, Russ, you just click with some people and you're like, hey, I like this person, right? And you're going to ask them completely different than the one that looks like your ex, right? And you're like, oh, right? So you're going to ask them the same way. And those questions come across and you see their energy level and you see how they're doing on that. So that video on demand interviewing, oh my gosh, saves us time, and it's the same across the board. And then once they come on board, before they even get the interview, now I'm sending them my guiding behaviors, my guiding principles. Here's the 30 things in which we live by. If you don't like this, don't even think of applying.
Yeah.
And then we send them the expectations for the job. It's 6 hours of prospecting, or 75% of all available time. You're prospecting, you're picking up the phone, you're getting kicked in the teeth every day. Yeah. Why would you want to do this, Russ? There's way easier ways of making money. You're insane to do this. Don't do it. Yeah. And they come at you, and those that truly want to do it, they will they have to prove to us that they really want it. So that I want to be right or I want to win. You don't want to do this. Yeah, now that you explained it, I really don't like your culture and I don't like you. Ah,
Yeah,
shoot, I was right. Or they go, no, this sounds great. Sweet, we win. And then we keep going forward. So that's a simple way of driving a person away instead of overselling and telling you how great you are
yeah,
whenever you're really not. So that's the idea there.
that's great. I love it. And what you're really doing now, I mean, you're making the job easier for yourself, for the ones that actually get through to that pointy end of the hiring process, because you're kind of giving them lots of opportunities to qualify themselves out along the way.
Yes.
Whether it's at the assessment task, whether it's at, any of those little checkpoints along the way, you're giving yourself the chance for them to actually properly, have that mindset of, okay, yeah, this is a fit for me. I am going to put in the yards to get this done. And also just that there's that line in the first 90 days around recruitment is like a romance and employment is like a marriage, and how there can be that kind of, disconnect there. But what you're really trying to do is just make sure they're connected up. And I'm big on that too around, if the job is 75% prospecting and you don't tell them that, like you are just setting yourself up for a lot of pain and hard work and re-recruitment. So that transparency and being open, it's just key.
Yeah, and think about it. So from selling, that's pretty easy. Hey, 6 hours of prospecting. Who likes to do that? The answer is no one, right? We're insane for doing it, but you have to do it to keep moving on. Yeah. But take that in coding. Take that in working remotely. Take that in admin. Hey, listen, we're details are critical here. If you have one I that's missed being dotted, one T that's missed being crossed, it's going to be horrible for the client, for you. I mean, why would you do that? That's a ton of pressure. It's a pressure cooker. You're not going to like that. And so no matter what you're doing, you're coding. You're going to be heads down, not talking to anyone. You're going to have recruiters calling you every 2 seconds. Why are you going to expose yourself to that, right? So any negativity, any reason that they quit, bring that up in the sales interview, or not in the sales interview, in the recruiting process. Find out why they quit, and then bring that to the forefront. This is what it's going to be like. You sure? Yeah. And that really, I think, just opens up that transparency, opens it up for everyone, that everybody's comfortable. They know the expectations going in, and nobody feels like I'm campaigning today, and now that I'm elected, the real person comes out. Nobody wants that, right?
100%. Bryan, gold. Love it. That's so good. Thank you so much for sharing. Look, guys, if anyone's got any comments or questions about it, just pop them down below in the thread here. But Bryan, really appreciate your time. Thanks for being on the BS Radar with us today.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, Russ. I look forward to going down under with you and hanging out and running with you. My gosh, that's awesome.
Unreal. Thanks, Bryan.
Yeah, be well.